What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we are going over Tech Tuesday. If you're new here, you're not sure what this is. It's kind of where we take the deck of the week and we talk about some ways in which we can make it better or some ways in which we can, improve the matchup into it. This week we did talk about the Blue Nami deck. Now there's no real ways to make it better. You kind of have to play everything that you can in order to self-mill. But there are a lot of cards when it comes to the colors that can actually help improve your matchup if for some reason you're struggling against it. I'm not going to have every single card listed that would probably be the best, but I will talk about them just because I want to throw some new cards up here, ones that we might not have talked about before. But one of the cards that I know for sure that I am missing is the let's go and add it real quick. Smoker is definitely one that we need to add in there. So coming back to this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some ways in which we can make everything kind of better into the matchup. So as a whole, when it comes to Nami, it tries to get attacks through and it really relies on self-mill. So the best thing that you can do is try to be as aggressive as possible into the matchup. Note real quick, I don't have any OP04 cards in this list. I did in last week's videos, but that was for my own reasons. That wasn't, because I was trying to just throw cards out there. So just keep that in mind. This is my list. If I want to throw cards in from the new format, just to inform you guys, I can do that. But aside from that, let's get right into it. So the first card we have for black is Rob Lucy. Rob Lucy's good because on play, you can return 2 cards with CP9 in its type from your trash and put them to the bottom of the deck in any order, and then this character gains Rush. When it comes to Nami, you need to try and deal as much damage as possible before they, their turns improve, because the more damage that you can do, it means that the less time that they really have to try and draw through everything. If they're comboing all of your attacks and they're playing heavy events and you're having to deal with those, then that means that there's just more cards that they're going through. Same idea with Smoker. If they do play the Kaya or play anything down and you eventually get the Smoker out, it can't be KO'd by card effects. And then if you're able to give a character -1 or -2 or even -3, you are able to actually give yourself double strike, which means that you can just get the game over faster. It's similar to yellow, where you want to do double strike because, they're always -1. When it comes to the aspects of Nami doesn't really have a lot to deal with to remove big characters, except for some triggers, but if you double attack, then you kind of get through those triggers faster, and you don't have to deal with as much. So that's really it for black. As for blue, we have Kuma. I have Kuma in here because it's a blocker, but then on KO, you can play a 4 lower cost Pacifista, and the Pacifista that comes down is a 6k body, which means that 1 Dawn on it is 7k, and then they have to burn a lot of cards in order to kind of block out of multiple swings like that. Then we have Monkey D. Luffy, the one attacking, and on play you can trash 2 cards and return a 4 or less, and then it gains double attack. Again, this is good because the double attack applies pressure to Nami, which means they don't have as much time to kind of go through their deck. And being able to bounce the character means that you can bounce back some of their blockers that actually discard a card from the top of the deck when they block. Then for the next blue card, we have Usopp. The Usopp's in here because it does have Rush. If you're playing the blue mirror or anything, or you're playing the Nami mirror, this Usopp's good. It's not really good ultimately in any other deck because you do have to trash, the top 7 cards of your own deck, but it's good in the sense that it is a blue Rush card if something terrible happens, or you have, a ton of cards in deck and you're okay with milling yourself. It definitely is a blue Rush that you can look at. Next for green, we do have the Shachi and then Penguin. I'm not sure whether or not next to each other, but it's because of set order. But both of them are 3-cost blockers, and then when you play one down, you can put the other one into play if it's in your hand. So the reason why this is good is because a lot of Nami's effects for the attacks say that if they deal damage to your opponent, then they mill the top 7, similar to Usopp. And so with these 2 green blockers, it means you can put more blockers onto the field, and then that means that you can block attacks rather than having to dump cards out of your hand for, potential counter power. Same thing with Law. It's a good blocker, but you can also on play return a card from the board to your hand and then play one character. This means that in something like Law, you can play down Vista, or you can play down something that buffs your own characters just to kind of disrupt the field or apply some more pressure. Then we have the Secret Rare Yamato. Again, I talked about this last week, but double attack and banish is really strong, especially versus Nami, as with the banish, you kind of don't have to deal with the effects of dealing with the triggers that come off of events. Then we have Craig. On play, you can trash a card and KO up to 2 of your opponent's rested characters. If they have anything on board that may have been rested that they attacked with or tried to, you can get rid of them. And then for Dawn ×1, it gains double attack. So again, it just applies more pressure, and it's an 8,000 swing. You put 2 on there, it's 9,000. That means they have to waste 2 events in order to block it, and the double attack is a ton of pressure. As for Queen, this Queen's on here because you can give something minus 2k, but it also gains Rush, and it's a Dawn -1. So if you're looking for some Rush power within purple, you also do have the Kaido from the structure deck, but I'm just throwing the Queen in here because it is a new card if you're kind of looking for something to play that, you know, is more early on compared to the 9-drop. And it only has a Dawn -1 effect, as opposed to, I think the Kaido is Dawn -2 or 3. Next we have Luffy. On play, Dawn -1. You can trash 1 character card with a cost of 5 from your hand, and then it gains Rush. Again, it's a 7,000 attacker. So if you're at 10 Dawn and you slap 4 on here after playing this, it's an 11k swing. It means that they're going to have to dump a lot in order to get through it. And if they chose to play characters, they don't have as much Dawn to work with. It's overall really strong. Then we have Hell's Judgment. Dawn -1. Give up to 2 of your opponent's characters -3k. This is good if they have multiple targets on board that you know are going to try and swing for damage to mill. You can Hell's Judgment and kind of make their math more awkward. Then for red, self-explanatory, we have Zoro because it has Rush and it's only a 3-drop. You can play a lot, 5,000 power. If you can get 3 down in 1 turn, assuming you hold 3, you know, that's 3+ cards that your opponent has to dump because it's 5 versus 5. Then we have Shanks. When attacking, your opponent can't activate blocker with characters that have 2,000 or less power. Some of their characters actually do have less than 2,000 power or 2,000 power exactly, so the Shanks is really solid, and it's a 10,000 attacker, so if you get this on board, swing for 11, and then the following turn swing for 21, they're not really going to have so many cards that can deal with this. Then if you're playing Whitebeard, we do have Jozu. This is normal for Whitebeard 2 play, but again, Jozu just has Rush. Same with the Ace. It's nice because, you know, you can kind of use your baby attackers to finish their board off and then have an Ace with a big 7k swing. And then we also have Flame Emperor. If your leader is Ace, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 8,000 power or less, and then your leader gains double attack and 3,000 power. It's just, again, a super solid card as it applies a ton of pressure. Then we have Charlotte Smoothie for yellow. This is good because A, you can play it off of a trigger, but also you can take a life and then swing for 7,000, which means that they have to dump more cards. So if you're at 10 Dawn and you have this on board, again, you can swing for 17,000 and they have to dump a ton of cards. On top of that, though, we do have Charlotte Linlin. On play, if your leader has Big Mom Pirates, you take a life and add it to your life pool, and your opponent discards a life. Again, you trash the life so they don't get the trigger, and it's a big body on board, and it means that you kind of seal the deal as far as threats, because they're not really going to be able to deal with all of these threats. Then we have Prometheus. Again, I talked about this last week. The trigger to play the card is great, and then you can rest it, and you give a Charlotte Linlin double strike. So this means that you could have a 12,000 power double attack, which means that it's taking 2 damage. And then we do have Ivanka of Sovereignty. I only have this in here because if they do try to do a big swing and you only have 2 Dawn open, you do have a 5k counter, which is super solid. And then we do have Tropical Torment. Again, this is just early on pressure for yellow since there's no rush cards yet. This means that if your opponent has 4 or more life cards, you can place one of them in the trash. So if they have 5, you can put them to 4, and then when they go from 4, you can play this again, put them down to 3, and it trashes them so they don't get the triggers. So overall, that's really what I wanted to talk about when it comes to these cards, again, you know, they're not going to auto win, but they'll definitely improve if you know, find them helpful within the Nami matchup. Nami's kind of an easy deck to play against. That's why it's on the lower end of the meta. But overall, I kind of think this is the best place to start for each color. So, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in tomorrow's What to Buy Wednesday.